The story opens with Gash sitting alone in a dim, silent room, visibly shaken as if trapped in a constant state of fear. His eyes keep darting around the space, suggesting that he is not alone in his mind, even if the room appears empty. The atmosphere is heavy, unsettling, and immediately signals that something deeply wrong has happened in his past. Suddenly, Dewey arrives at the house, stepping into this tense environment. The moment Gash sees her, his fear intensifies. He urgently tells her, he's back again. He won't leave me. Dewey, trying to stay calm and rational, dismisses his fear, insisting that what Gash is talking about is impossible. She reminds him that whatever occurred 15 years ago cannot return to haunt them now. However, Gash refuses to accept her reassurance. He pulls back part of his clothing, revealing disturbing wounds on his body, and demands an explanation. His voice trembles as he insists that something is still watching them, even claiming that he can see it staring and laughing at them from the shadows. Dewey walks cautiously toward the door to investigate, but she finds nothing unusual outside. Concerned about Gash's deteriorating mental condition, she decides to stay the night to ensure his safety. Later, after Gash falls asleep, Dewey receives a phone call and steps into the hallway to speak privately. As she moves through the house, she notices several old newspaper clippings arranged on a table. The articles feature Alfie and Nara, along with disturbing reports about the mysterious deaths of the Lasmana family, hinting at a long-buried tragedy connected to everything happening now. Before she can fully process what she is seeing, Dewey hears a strange sound and turns toward it. The scene abruptly cuts, leaving her fate unknown. The next morning, Gash wakes up and steps onto the balcony, only to notice drops of blood falling from above. Looking upward, he is horrified to see Dewey's mutilated body hanging overhead, implying she was killed in a brutal ritualistic manner. The shock confirms that whatever force is involved is not imaginary but very real and violent. The story then shifts focus to Alfie and Nara, the central figures from earlier events, who have attempted to move on and build a peaceful life after surviving past horrors. Despite their efforts, their past refuses to stay buried. One night, while sleeping, Alfie begins hearing faint whispers. She wakes up uneasy, dismissing it as a dream. However, when she turns off her lamp, the atmosphere in the room changes drastically. She suddenly feels an unseen presence lying beside her. A chilling whisper enters her ear, calling her devil's child. Terrified, she wakes fully and finds strangers invading her room. Before she can react, she is abducted and taken deep into a forest, arriving at an isolated house hidden away from civilization. When she regains consciousness, she finds herself tied up in an unfamiliar room. Confused and frightened, she immediately asks about Nara's whereabouts. At that moment, a woman named Janara enters. Alfie demands to know who she is, and Janara begins to explain the dark history of the place. She reveals that the house was originally an orphanage created by a childless couple who wanted to care for abandoned children. Over time, most of the children were adopted, but 7 remained and grew up there. After the wife died, the orphanage caretaker, Ayub, changed drastically. He became cruel and abusive, punishing children severely if they disobeyed him. He would lock them in dark rooms without food and treat them with extreme violence. Eventually, unable to endure his brutality, the 7 surviving children united and killed Ayub by burning him alive. After revealing this story, the captors give Alfie a dress and leave her alone. When she changes and explores the upper floor, she begins sensing an eerie presence in the house. Suddenly, the spirit of Ayub appears behind her and violently attacks her, confirming that his presence still lingers beyond death. Alfie escapes in panic and begins searching for Nara. Eventually, she finds her, only to discover that Nara is alive but hiding in fear. However, one of the captors, Christy, discovers Nara's hiding place and attempts to climb toward her. In a desperate act of survival, Nara pushes a wardrobe onto Christy, causing her to fall. At that moment, Alfie arrives and, overwhelmed by rage and fear, kills Christy with a hammer. Before dying, Christy warns her cryptically that killing her will not change anything and that he is still waiting, suggesting a deeper supernatural force controlling everything. The group later prepares to dispose of Christy's body, but tensions rise as suspicions begin to spread. Alfie notices Gadish behaving strangely, particularly observing him holding a diary while cutting his already injured finger. This behavior raises suspicion that he may be connected to the ritual behind everything. Fear spreads among the group as it becomes clear that the deaths are not random but part of something controlled. Alfie decides that she and Nara must escape, and Buddy agrees with her plan. However, their escape attempt fails when they discover their vehicle has been completely destroyed. Inside the house, Alfie experiences another terrifying hallucination where she sees a priestess sitting in the back seat where Nara should be. When she looks again, the figure disappears. Trying to convince herself it is just stress-induced imagination, she attempts to stay calm, but the priestess suddenly reappears beside the car, terrifying her. Alfie then experiences a disturbing vision where the priestess attacks her. She suddenly finds herself in another reality, standing face to face with her parents. Her father, Mr. Lasmana, tells her that the curse has not ended and that it still demands a sacrifice. Alfie, overwhelmed with emotion, blames him for everything, but he insists that he tried everything possible to stop the evil force and failed. Suddenly, Ayub appears and grabs Alfie's hand, causing it to burn painfully. The vision shatters, and she returns to reality only to find an actual burn mark on her hand, proving the supernatural force is real. As events spiral further, Buddy gathers everyone to discuss the situation. Since Martha is knowledgeable about the mysterious book connected to the curse, Alfie asks for her help. During this time, they realize Gadish is missing, and Leo goes searching for him. While examining the book with Martha, Alfie notices a blood stain on a page containing a chant. She remembers seeing Gadish's bandaged thumb and begins suspecting him. To confirm her doubts, she asks for childhood photographs and discovers Gadish sitting on Ayub's lap, revealing a disturbing connection. Meanwhile, Leo enters a room previously used for black magic rituals and finds Gadish waiting for him. Without warning, Gadish traps him inside and calmly states that Leo's fate is already decided. At the same time, Alfie pieces together the truth. Gadish suffered from Stockholm Syndrome during his childhood abuse under Ayub, causing him to develop a twisted emotional attachment to his torturer. Unlike others who feared Ayub, Gadish grew to admire him, shaping his psychological instability. In the ritual chamber, Christie's corpse unexpectedly reanimates and attacks Leo in a horrifying manner, killing him brutally. Buddy attempts to communicate via walkie-talkie but instead hears Gadish's voice declaring that Leo is gone and the rest will follow. Gadish then proceeds deeper into the ritual, lying down as if offering himself willingly to the dark force. An unseen presence, Ayub, begins interacting with him, indicating possession or summoning completion. Meanwhile, the others confront Gadish, who reveals that Leo is already gone and that they are all destined to follow. The true mystery unfolds as it is revealed that Gadish used a black magic book to summon Ayub's spirit into the world, but the ritual required continuous sacrifice to sustain him. Dewey was the first victim, and Alfie is meant to be the next key sacrifice due to her deeper connection to an even more dangerous entity. As chaos escalates, Buddy attempts to destroy the book, but Gadish stops him. Alfie tries to attack Gadish but fails due to his supernatural protection. Martha attempts to stab him but is fatally wounded in return. Before dying, she urges Alfie to use the book to stop both Gadish and Ayub. Overwhelmed by desperation, Alfie begins chanting the forbidden spell. Her hand becomes engulfed in fire and transforms into something demonic, indicating she is now partially linked to the curse. At the same time, Nara is endangered, and Alfie struggles to protect her while hallucinations of her parents continue to haunt her. The boundary between reality and illusion collapses further as Martha appears again in a distorted form, transforming into Ayub and attacking them. Gadish reveals that Alfie is the perfect sacrifice and that she cannot control the power she is attempting to use. He violently attacks her, attempting to break her mentally and physically. However, Nara intervenes, allowing Alfie a brief moment to fight back. Alfie manages to injure Gadish and uses the chaos to set the area on fire. Despite their efforts, Gadish transforms further, and the situation worsens when Buddy arrives and crashes into him with a vehicle. In a horrifying twist, Gadish's body ruptures, and Ayub's entity emerges from within him fully manifested. The demon turns its attention to Buddy, but Alfie sacrifices herself by allowing Ayub to enter her body instead, hoping to contain the evil within her. Realizing she is losing control, Alfie stabs herself in the chest to stop the possession and enters a vision of darkness where she encounters a far more ancient and terrifying entity known as Malik, the true demon behind the curse. Malik reveals that Ayub is already imprisoned and that Alfie herself is an impure soul chosen for sacrifice from the beginning. The entity declares ownership over her soul and plunges her into despair. However, Alfie suddenly awakens in reality, still alive despite everything. The story concludes ambiguously, leaving her survival uncertain and the curse unresolved, with the implication that the evil force still exists and may continue its cycle.